Okay, it's 5:32 and I'm calling the meeting to order of the Pawlet Public Library Board of Trustees. All right, first up is reading our operating norms. We will focus on agenda topics, be open-minded, respect each other, value different viewpoints, be responsive and responsible to our community with reference to the strategic plan, make decisions based on data and facts, listen to each other, be reflective, and run meetings that respect time, have concise agendas, and are transparent. Next is addition or deletion of agenda items. Does anybody have anything? No. Okay. All right, we have 10 minutes for public comment. Could I get a show of hands for public comment? Okay. Mr. Stone, did you want to give public comment?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Now, some of you may feel that this, what I'm going to say is irrelevant. Hear me out.
We will.
I got a dog story. When I moved to Pawlet in '72, we went from 30 cow herds in Manchester to a 60 cow herd, and I needed a dog to bring those cows across the river. We had a few pet dogs, and they weren't worth a damn. I went out, and I bought myself a highly pedigreed, trained dog. We were going to get those cows to the barn in the morning. Well, trained dog, I kept telling her, we don't do it this way in Pawlet. Well, this is the way the pedigrees do it. We don't do it this way in Pawlet. Well, anyway, it went on and went on, and she disappeared for a few days, a couple of times. That's no good to me. So, finally one day she bit one of the kids. I said, that's it, you're in. Gotta get rid of this dog, which I did. Well, then I looked around, I went to one of these shelter places, and gosh, here's a pretty nice looking puppy there. Maybe she'd make a good cat dog. So I brought her home. Sure enough, she took an interest in it, did pretty good, and I watched a number of dogs crossing Route 30 down there, and I taught this dog how to go through the culvert into over the other side of the road. The other barn, we had a barn on both sides. Well, things went along pretty good, but even so, this dog had a few flaws. A few things I didn't really like about what she did, but gosh, she was a loyal dog, good dog. I went and got another mutt. The other mutt, she had a few flaws too, but they weren't the same ones as the first dog. And by God, the two of those dogs were the best goddamn help I ever had. I'd like the library board to remember that. Dogs and library people are a lot the same.
Anybody else? Gordon?
So you're going to have me follow the dog story?
Yeah, that's a tough act.
Okay. So just as a preface, in October of 2023, Lindsay Barnes, then the director, filed a harassment suit against then Chair Harley Cudney, and subsequently then Lindsay was dismissed. And I've heard a couple different versions of what has transpired with the harassment suit. One is that it was dropped because the employee that filed the suit or the complaint was no longer employed. And then I heard that because she was proposing to file a lawsuit, that the harassment claim was taken up. So my question to you, and I don't know if you can answer it, but I think it should be a matter of public information, is what has happened to this harassment suit? Was it followed up on? What are the results? I think it's important because you've got two people here, and someone should be able to come through and sift through the stories and make a judgment I think it's going to be important for you all, because as I understand it, the lawsuit has been filed, and down the road, there may be mediation. And if you're mediating with someone who falsely claims harassment, then that's one thing. But if she had cause to file harassment, that's something else. So I think it's in the public interest to know what the outcome is of that harassment. Another kind of corollary to that is that you all are talking about the way your chair responds to the staff here. And I think it would be helpful to see, is there something in the way the bylaws are written that somehow gives tacit permission to being, misunderstood somehow? Or is this a matter of one person having, falsely acted? Okay, so anyway, I bring that up because I think it's still a public issue and I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay, yeah, we don't have a comment on that, but thanks. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. We're moving on to Secretary's report. Grace.
I don't have anything to report, except I did notice a typo in the minutes from the last meeting. I wrote deed instead of deep, so with everyone's permission, I'll change that before sending out the approved one, assuming they get approved.
All right.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? And that's for both meetings. I think we could do them at the same time if they...
Sure.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for
January 14th and the 30th.
I'll second.
Any discussion on those? Martha?
I couldn't hear exactly what Grace said, but I did notice that Heather was left off the minutes of the attendees on January 30th. Heather Thomas was left off. She does make you do have her comment on page 2, I think, but she's not at the top of the list.
Okay, thank you. So, with adding that as well.
Do we make a new motion or just?
I guess,
We can amend it to accept the minutes as amended.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, and the second, and, all right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have those minutes. Okay, next is the treasurer's report with the first order of business was the warrant that I did email out to everybody in a little bit of an advance. So I'll just read the numbers really quickly for everybody and then I'll pass this around. Again, this is regular normal bills that we have. The total is $1,375.60, but that includes $669.24 that was paid to our credit card already, and then for this check that will go, will be $706.36. And I guess I can pass it around, and if you want to look at, make a motion to approve it while we're looking at it, or just...
This is the same one you sent out earlier,
Yeah,
right?
I sent, yes, you guys have the final draft of it.
I'll motion to approve that then.
Okay.
I'll second it.
And any discussion on that, those bills? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor of approving this warrant, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? Okay, we have a warrant for Julie, and could you take that, Lauren, tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, just
After you sign
after we
it, yeah.
sign it, yeah. Okay, here we go. The next is the budget update with the new staff salaries. I didn't get to put them in entirely into our budget, but it is like, like a few dollars, like $5 for Adele's, more than her hourly rate that goes to, or like we're paying payroll taxes now. We hadn't been, the town had kind of subsidized us in the past, so it's not going to be a huge impact. It's I think maybe just because also the hours are, you know, not just kind of lower, part-time. But I will get that updated and to everybody prior to the next meeting, so.
I was going to ask a clarification question.
Right.
So I was looking at the budget, the town budget from last year to this year, and it does look like there was, I don't have the exact numbers in my mind right now, I'm sorry, but it was like 51,000 last year and like 57,000. Was that to make up for the payroll taxes that we're now paying? Or like, is that why there was that difference?
I think so, if that's, yes.
Okay, so like, it's kind of like,
Julie calculated the payroll taxes, that bundle, and gave us that appropriation. The board approved that as our appropriation.
okay.
That's fine.
So like,
So it looks like more, but it's not more,
Right, it's
because
just-
that's the
so
payroll
yeah,
taxes.
that's what I was.
Yes, and it depends on what people elect to do.
Right.
So sometimes if, I think there's some kind of retirement or something along those lines, and if you elect to do that, it's a little bit more. So that's where that is.
So we're not, okay, thank you.
So it's an even, it was approved as an even, the same rate as last year.
But the only difference is that you are now doing it instead of Julie, is that?
No, she's still doing it. We just, the library board will allocate the money to salaries, so we could, they're giving us that much money, and then we can decide if we're able to have a huge donation or whatever, then we could supplement that and go even more. We have more choice with the salaries, but that's what the library, the select board is giving, the town is giving to the library to do, as I think we are free to use it for next fiscal year, yes.
But can you explain, maybe just in a couple sentences, what's different about payroll? Because that is still confusing to me. So they did allocate slightly more funds for us to use for the payroll, but...
We are paying it. We're responsible for it.
Okay.
The town will not, the town had
Got it,
prior
okay.
to this subsidized, and I think that might have been accidental, I don't know.
So before, like, we had this amount, and then they would supplement it from their end with the payroll, but now they're just giving us that amount that they were supplementing?
Correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying, because I wasn't sure what you meant.
Yeah, it is a little confusing. I mean, I think that's just how it had gone in the past, just the board would ask for these salaries at this, extrapolate so that they expect the amount of hours, and all of that was done. But we are not taking on payroll taxes, I mean, like, processing it like a payroll
Just
tax.
added the percentage on.
Yes.
Okay, because that's what I thought
And
you
it's a
meant.
calculation, she gave me the calculation, so in the warrant, you can see there, actually, so it's not, if you flip to the last, I think it's one of the last ones, the town of Pawlet, that's who we're paying for Adele's courier time. I think it might be the very last one.
So it says, like,
So
plus
she
the amount of payroll taxes.
Yeah, so she had done just the straight hourly rate, and prior to this, that went to the town. But I've been asked to put it in.
Between now and when, I mean, because that's supposed to start with the next fiscal year.
The raises, yes.
So
and
how did...
Yeah, I'm sorry, not the raises, the appropriations.
Right.
Yep.
So how is it working between now and then?
We have enough because we have not had a director on payroll, so we have that amount to be able to do that. Yeah, and, yeah. Everybody good on that?
Yeah.
Thanks for clearing that, because I was...
Sure, yeah.
That's come up a couple times, and I was never...
Because even if we are hopefully hiring a director before the fiscal year starts over again,
Very unlikely that it would
it would,
go to, yes, take that. I haven't looked at all of the numbers, but Julie did run them before the select board, so they were able to make that decision, and we're all pretty confident that that's, So, okay. And then the next is credit card update, which we don't have any, we were approved for it, which I sent everybody, but I don't believe it's coming in the mail. So we are waiting on that desperately. hopefully we'll get it tomorrow. Should be here. And then that goes to Julie, and then she'll add. But as soon as she gets it, she knows that we need the access. Okay, so that is it, unless anybody else has questions for that treasurer's report. Okay. Joni, the
Yes.
grant status.
Yes, so I reached out to the American Libraries Association about the Transforming Communities grant that Libraries Transforming Communities grant that we received. And I received a lovely email back from a woman named Kayleen McWorty. And so first, the good news, that is that we are able to keep the funds, and we are going to be allowed to either repurpose or change how the funds will be spent. So, I guess it's also good news, but it's just, there is some work to be done. And so we need to have some more community meetings and figure out how it is that we do want to support these meetings or use these funds. And we're going to need to have, once we figure out how we want to use these funds and have some community meetings and formulate this plan, we'll need to be communicating with them and having, one of us will need to be decided as a point person, either us or, I don't know, Adele or Nina, but we need to make that decision in the next couple of weeks about who we want to be interfacing with the ALA. And there's a lot of resources out there that they've got that we can use. And so I was wondering if it would be a good idea for us to form either a subcommittee or to decide how we want to move on this tonight. So, because yeah.
That's exciting. Thanks
It's
for
really
doing that
good,
work.
thank you.
I think a subcommittee is a great idea, and if you did all this legwork, are you comfortable being the point person from the board?
Yeah, I think
And then how in the past, I think, were you part of the board when originally there was a community involvement? You don't remember?
I think that I was just coming on the board when this grant was first in place, so I'm not sure where things were. So,
did they have any suggestions, or do you have any ideas?
so there's a whole website of grant materials that we can watch through that will kind of guide how we move through the process, teaching us how to form community conversations and how we,
Yeah,
so I think that,
the information that we're looking for, like,
Yeah, so
how to hold the community.
I think that having one or two people, well, 2 people from the board on this would be really helpful so that we can go through this dearth of material, or wealth of material, not dearth, sorry. So,
Yeah.
because she said that it is quite extensive, like the amount of resources out there, but that feels really exciting and also overwhelming.
Yeah.
It says that they want to set up a new person for ALA Apply. This is a platform on which all of the reports, is that for every grant, or is that just for this particular one?
It's just for this one. So what's happening, I'm sorry, I'm got a little bit nervous. What's happening is that we have the funds already, but what we're going to do is essentially go in and kind of, there's the next round of this grant that's coming out right now, and so we're going to just be in that pool with this new group of people who are also doing the grant. And so we will be acting as if this is a new grant to us and submitting new information about how we plan to use the grant and new information.
Oh, right, it's like we're getting like inserted in, basically.
We're kind of just going into the tide.
Great.
But also maybe a community member who has grant writing experience. If
Yeah.
anybody might know a Pawlet resident.
Linda?
$10,000. 10,000. Yeah. And we have the funds already,
Right.
but we need to just allocate them and discuss with the ALA how we plan to use it and how. So before we were using it as it's a grant to address accessibility, and before we were using it for people with who needed hearing, so we can either continue with that in that vein, or we can open the discussion up to a wider accessibility. What does this community need? How can we make this library more accessible?
Cool. So we can start just, yeah, from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, open-ended, that's great.
That's really good news.
Yeah.
And the woman Kayleen is very helpful.
So, do we want a committee then?
Yeah, I
Form
think
a
that's a
committee?
really good way to move forward.
Is that, and
great.
does anybody else want to work on that, on the board?
I would do that.
Okay, thank you.
And if there's any community members who would like to
We
join
could put
this.
that out, maybe, we could ask Nina or do some kind of
Yeah.
email contact. So seeking community
So
members.
Joni and I will do that,
Okay,
like get in touch with Nina.
yeah. Okay,
Oh, I thought, okay. Well, I guess so. I just think it's so much easier to have, well, if we're deciding now to instruct her or ask her to advertise for that position, it couldn't come from Corey. It's just easier to come from you guys as a committee.
However, it needs to, I mean, like, I know that Corey is the person we voted last time for communications to go through. That's fine. If that feels,
Yeah, no, I'm only speaking from my own experience of like having a thought and asking to do something and knowing that that isn't really the proper channel. Like,
Okay,
it's just
yeah.
better, I think.
yeah, okay.
As a board, if we have it go through the chair and then
That makes,
obviously you'd be communicating with her and,
then I would just like say to her, then Joni and Grace are the people to contact
For this project.
for any applicants would email Joni and Grace, right?
I think so.
Does that,
that's great.
I think that sounds good, and thank you for catching that. Should we make a motion to form this committee?
Yes.
With Joni and Grace?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Isn't it?
okay. Any more discussion on this? That sounds great.
Really exciting.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you both. Yeah.
So I guess I should have brought it up when adding the agenda items, but there is an AARP accessibility grant right now that is due March 3rd. And it's they're giving out grants between $25,000 and $50,000 to small communities for basically accessibility, for making things, improving existing public structures for accessibility to the community. And I would like to write a grant to see if we can be eligible for that. Is that something that I need to get board approval for?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to,
What do you think we'd use it for?
I was thinking that the front steps have been an issue for, like the railings and the structure of the concrete.
Right.
And that would be a really good use of about $25,000 to get those so that they're shored up, so that
Right.
they're safe for,
That's a town,
is that a town?
I think that would be a town.
So,
I had a question, which is the time frame on this grant? When are they going to decide and when would the monies be allocated?
so the grant is due the 3rd of March, and then I think they're going to decide, I have to get the exact dates, but within 3 months, they will let you know when, and let people know if they've received the grant, and then by 2026, the monies will need to have been spent.
It would, if we did apply for the grant, and again, I don't know if it would be the library or if the town would have to write a letter of support because the town technically owns the building. But if those monies could be piled on top of the other monies that we're getting for this building, we might be able to do something bigger. I mean, that timing would fit.
Okay.
Does it have to have a stated purpose when you apply, or is it open?
I think it's pretty.
I mean, as long as it's accessibility.
As long as it's accessibility, and, we can prove community need. So moving forward, when I go home tonight, I can email out the scope of the grant so that you guys can have a better idea about it. And
But we would need to know, we would need to decide right now. Because you would have to act, you would need to apply before.
So I guess what I'm asking is, do I have permission to apply, and then we can see if it fits, and if it doesn't fit, we can just not apply?
Doesn't seem like there's anything to lose.
Right.
And then if we find out that Joni can write grants,
Then she, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always a little about if it's a rushed one like that, but yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay. All right, anybody?
really,
Huh?
nothing to lose.
I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Right.
What could we lose? Nothing.
Especially given that it seems like
I can piggyback the other one too.
Yeah,
piggyback the other
that'd be
one,
amazing.
and- Yeah, and it's like, it seems like there's a lot of interest in accessibility right now. It seems like that's something that we need, and it's something that there's monies for.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'll make a motion for Joni to pursue a grant from the AARP
On behalf of them.
on behalf of the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Joni.
Any more discussion?
No, just, should we see it before you hit the send button?
I will make sure that it's very,
Just so I feel better?
yeah, I will communicate, yeah.
Okay,
I will-
yeah, so we could each individually interact and tell you if
So
there's
I'll
a,
send it out to the board
red
before I
flag
send
or-
it out, and then
No reply all.
reply
Yes.
back to me.
yep, okay. All right,
Thanks, Joni.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No? Okay, thanks again, Joni, that's great. Okay,
Which leads us.
sorry. Oh, yeah, it leads right into the discussion about the energy grant. Jessica is here, but you had asked us to put some thinking, think about what is possible or what would help, and we haven't really had that on the agenda, so I don't know if you have any more updates on that, or is it just...
Oh, well, so the MERP grant, which is for the MERP, Municipal Energy Resilience Program, which is for the town hall and for the library. The status of the grant is currently that the select board is working with the Rutland Regional Planning Commission to put out an RFP, and so a request for proposals. And what is uncertain yet is whether the town of Pawlet will put out its own request for proposals, or whether the 8 towns in Rutland County that have all gotten this same grant will kind of go in on a request for proposals. If we were able to do that, we might be able to get economies of scale.
Right.
If the same firm did like a bunch of different towns. So the Regional Planning Commission is working on that right now, so that's where that is. The other thing that I do want to bring to the board's attention is that this grant is funded with federal funds. It's my understanding, and I haven't heard anything differently, that the federal funds were already dispersed to the state, and that the state has them and is going to give them to us. So I don't think that this freeze or not freeze or whatever's going on with a lot of federal grants is going to affect this grant, but it is technically a federal grant. So let's all cross our fingers or talk to our representatives or whatever we need to do, because this is a big grant for the town and we want to keep it. So, so it hasn't moved forward yet past the RFP stage.
Okay.
But
Do you have any kind of committee on the select board? I know that you have been the head person,
not yet.
but
Yeah.
would that, maybe at that point, would it be appropriate to have like a library representative?
Absolutely. I think it would be important to have a library representative on whatever committee we put together. Once it gets to the RFP stage, I mean, we'll need to have people looking at the different proposals and helping determine which ones to go with, unless the Regional Planning Commission kind of picks one, but we would still have feedback. And at that stage, once there is somebody, this request for proposals that's put out is going to be pretty broad. It's going to say we're looking for someone to design the energy upgrades for these 2 buildings and the weatherization improvements and the ADA improvements. So it would be all of that stuff together being planned by the same firm. So at the point when we hired the firm would be when we would really get into the nitty-gritty about what exactly was going to get done.
And you're thinking that will happen in 2025, or do you think that maybe not?
I I think that the firm will get hired in 2025. I don't know, we definitely won't get into any building in 2025. But I believe this grant has to be completed by the end of 2026. They may give us an extension for it there's a lot of towns in Vermont that all have got this same grant. And so if they're all going to basically the same couple firms that do this kind of, clean energy work, we might have to push things out a little bit because the firms might get overwhelmed.
Right.
But yeah, the goal is to do the stuff by the end of 2026. So that's why it sounds like it dovetails with that grant that you're thinking of going after. The time frame is very similar.
Great, cool. That sounds great, thank you. Anybody else have any thoughts on that, or?
I would just be interested to be part of that committee when it gets to that point.
Okay.
So, I don't know if there's any action we should take before it.
I don't think there's any action right now. Other than just, considering what things might be needed. But
Right.
it sounds like, it actually even sounds like that first grant, the one that was going to be for the hearing loops, if there's going to be community work being done to talk about what needs to be done for accessibility, that could feed into this whole thing.
Oh, right.
It could let us know what people need as far as accessibility in this building.
Perfect.
We know the
Ramp.
Oh, we do know that, but other than the ramp.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. So that is definitely something on our idea. Oh, sorry. Hi, Ruth.
I don't know if it'd actually be helpful or not, but I know from several years back, there was a whole proposal and some plans drawn up for both the elevator and the ramp.
Right.
If it would be useful to just throw those into the mix and be like, here, this. And get around a couple extra surveys and just show you we've done the work.
Right. Yeah.
Do we know where that packet information is?
I'm not sure, it might be just in that office. I think I've seen some of the stuff. Yeah, you probably, when you were looking, yeah. I was looking for something else, so it wasn't like something I stopped and, yeah.
I guess that would be great to just be able to be like, what can you give us toward this?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
But I do think that community engagement is really vital, and that would be very helpful to put down the line on our work plan. Oh, it's for another planning meeting. Okay. So now we're on to discussion, action of hiring process, job descriptions, policies for hiring and evaluation. I had some things that I was not able to share links with everybody, but I've been looking for just some guidance on hiring, and I did find the board self-evaluation. I think you might have talked about that at one point.
I gave handouts to everybody.
You did,
It was
yeah.
from like October or September of '23.
Right. So I have
Bring
one.
it with me.
Yeah, I think I printed that one. There's a library director evaluation and a performance evaluation. There are two separate ones here. And I have some paperwork from the prior hiring process of an action, like a process overview, and I think this happened last year maybe. I guess I don't know where to start with this. So, process, job descriptions, or policies? Anybody want to start with?
I think I was going to talk about the seminar that we went to last week, and I think that this sort of
dovetails with that.
This dovetails with it, and that I think that to be most effective, if we could have information collectively ahead of time, then we can come prepared to make decisions.
Yeah.
Rather than and there's got to be a real method.
Yeah,
to
I know.
do it.
I think Joni and I were both talking about it, and I lost I didn't realize, I didn't know who was going to take that on, and we didn't assign it to anybody. I wasn't sure if we were all supposed to do it on our own and come to the meeting or not. But,
Right. So I think.
yeah. So why don't we go to that the report from Building Better Boards, because we went to that, and if that's okay, kind of combine these two things.
Sure.
They're really, they
So-
do seem to go together.
I gave everybody a copy of the handout that we received when we went, and I wrote a little bit of an overview on the front. But I will say that, I mean, I could read this, but I left the seminar feeling really excited, because it gave like real framework and a pathway forward to, I think, a better productivity and things that make a whole lot of sense. So do you want me to just read this?
Sure.
So,
Yes.
on February 5th, Corey, Sue, and I attended a seminar given by Andy Robinson. Andy has his own consultation business primarily for nonprofit board work. There were many people in attendance from a variety of boards such as land trusts, private schools, international nonprofits, library boards, community centers, and more. We were given prompts and asked to break out into different groups. It was very insightful and also supportive to be able to speak with many individuals with similar needs and questions. It was also helpful to speak with people who have much more experience than us and who are able to share ideas or solutions that have worked for their boards. We were given a handout with diagrams on different types of organizational development, as well as worksheets that include board recruitment spreadsheets. This was extremely validating for Corey. Thought that was funny.
It was, because I kind of jumped
I mean,
up
it was
and-
like, because
Yeah.
it all looked like Excel sheets.
Because I had been talking about
very
doing that
helpful.
here already, a matrix, anyway.
Yeah, so these worksheets gave us a framework that provided more clarity for what to expect as a board member, as well as what to expect in return from the organization. Andy shared with us a model for a board member agreement that describes expectations ahead of time that are agreed upon by both the board member and the board itself. It was also very clear that the board should have a training session that includes written information on the organization's mission statement, policies, bylaws, and committees. It was made very clear that it's good practice for everyone on the board to have some understanding of all the different roles on the board. For example, we should all be somewhat knowledgeable about what the budget is and how it works. Andy provided us with a sample agenda that was also insightful. It delineates between the topic, who's responsible, whether or not it needs a decision made at the meeting, if follow-up is necessary, by who, and if there's a deadline or not. For me, this template has the ability to enable a board and their meetings to be much more clear and effective. Okay, sorry about this, spelling errors, but that's kind of what we were just talking about,
Right.
is having like information ahead of time and then being able to discuss it and make an action plan. At the end of the meeting, we discussed alternative governance models. One example of this was a board that has rotating responsibilities for jobs like the chair, treasurer, and secretary, which I thought was really interesting. So, I mean, it was just, we kind of waited for the end. We didn't really know what he meant by that, but that was one example that I think gives everybody shared responsibility, and so you kind of feel like not one person is doing the bulk of the labor, and you all have a better understanding of everyone else's jobs. In conclusion, Andy helped us understand the importance of best practices, timelines for getting things done, having responsibility charts, and having evaluation processes. Overall, I left the seminar feeling very inspired and excited to move the Pawlet Library Board forward with productive and transparent methods. So, and included, I just gave you all, and sorry about my handwritten scribble on it because I didn't have a blank, they were out of the blanks, but I just made a copy of mine. But it's really cool if you look over it. I think what I described will make more sense to you. So I think, next month or March's meeting will be with the newly elected board, and I think it will be a really good time to just recalibrate and reorganize ourselves in a way that we all feel comfortable with and that we can feel.
Yeah, the organizational meeting. Yeah, so it was an amazing seminar. I mean, everybody
I left there
really
wishing
excited.
that we could bring him back. I mean,
I know.
he had just such incredible knowledge and a way about him that was not intimidating and very informative, and there wasn't a question that he wasn't able to answer, and there were a lot of different kinds of boards, but it was all relevant for all of us.
Yeah.
Right. Probably the best thing was what board members provide and what board members can expect in return, and what people can expect and what their jobs are.
And I think we
have it
would
all written
extrapolate that to the employees, and that was kind of
Employees, too, yeah.
where we had difficulties last meeting, and that just to be sort of out in the open and what we can do for each other, like a back and forth.
And also the importance of evaluations, for
Right.
self-evaluation and for
yeah.
all of, you know, as a tool, how important they are, how
Right.
imperative they are.
And some of this wasn't as relevant to us because these were nonprofit, like full-on nonprofits, so we're an elected board. We operate a little differently. We don't have the freedom that they do with the rotating, I don't know. But just having all of this structure in place is really amazing. And he's written a couple of books. Yeah, oh, right. But there were 2 books that were recommended for sort of the baseline to get started on this.
What was his last name? Andy?
Robinson? I think I have a copy of his card that I can email everybody also. I have like a picture of it.
I took a picture.
Oh,
Didn't I? And I
Cora
sent
took a
it to you.
picture of it.
Yes.
And sent it to me.
I have the card.
Okay, well, you know, I couldn't find it in my photos.
But I mean, if we ever see him speaking, it's just like a must, because he just has a way of distilling information, and you feel like it's objective, like there's no judgment, it's just like, this is how things can work, these are problems, this is how you can go forward or not. He actually talked about boards that didn't work and decided to kind of pull back and almost disassemble instead of be a board, because they found that the way that they could, I don't want to speak for him, so I hope nobody's quoting me on this, but they found that their needs or their strengths were not as far advanced as a full-on board. So, yeah.
Well, and like in regards to the 4 stages of organizational development, I think it's the third, so it's the third handout. You know, as boards develop, they can become more institutionalized and therefore less flexible. And I think he was referring also to boards that wanted to go forward, but then also retracted when it was too constraining.
Or they were finding they wanted to go forward in too many different directions or something, so they would retract and sort of reevaluate.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
So back to the previous agenda item, which was to talk about the hiring process and job descriptions.
Right.
So we've talked about it at a lot of different meetings, but how do we move forward? And I think if we make a decision tonight to all be armed with whatever that information is, to actually make a decision for the next meeting, right?
Does everybody have access to the Vermont Library Association HR handbook or HR toolkit class? Is that something that's on the Vermont?
I would imagine. Do you have access to it?
I took the class, and so I wasn't sure if it was.
I took that class too. I think, you mean the one that you guys went to? Or was this something different?
This is something different. This was something that was given last summer. It was from a woman from the Chicago area who wrote a book called My HR Toolkit for Libraries. And so she went through all aspects of the hiring process and, you know, like everything relating to HR in a library. And there's an amazing Google file that has all of that information. So it's got like a policy handbook. It's got...
you have that?
I have
Did you share it with us?
That's what I was gonna say. When I go home tonight, I'll share that, and then...
Perfect.
Because then it can be a really great place to jump off from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it has everything that we're kind of searching for. Have you seen it, Corey? Is that something?
I don't know if I've seen that. I've seen the policy, I was in the policy part. I don't know if I've seen that, but I was wondering about the HR, like the select board has talked about possibly having part-time HR, and I mean, they just kind of floated that, and I was just wondering if that would be something like we would be able to work or piggyback onto. I don't know. I don't know how far along. I know, Jessica, sorry.
It's not very far along.
Yeah.
We hope to hire someone to help us administer grants.
Okay.
And this person might also have some HR duties.
Right.
So hopefully the town won't have to hire any new road crew for a while, because our current 3 road crew are awesome.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they are.
2. No, we have 3.
They've had to work.
We've only heard good things about the road crew.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, this person is not yet on the horizon, so.
Right, so, I mean, it would be good to educate ourselves, but then also possibly have support.
I
from
wonder,
the town.
I think that everything was given via a Zoom class too. I wonder if there's logs of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's time consuming, but it was like a 4-part series of about 45 minutes each, plus a discussion time. So if those were available, it might be something that if we were to kind of watch what seems relevant in what we're working on, like this is the video for this piece that we're working on, can everybody kind of just be familiar for the next meeting? It might give us more to talk about, because then we are...
An action plan, like we might be able to
Yeah, how about
adopt
this?
something and
Would
implement it.
Yeah, would it be premature now to even think about what we would do first, like the order of tackling these things?
That would be good.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay, good. So,
It seems like policies is where we're the most efficient, but that's also the most amount of work. Like, it
Right.
feels like, so is it better to start there, or is it best to just start with something like, that might be a little bit more accessible to us, like job descriptions? Because
I think we should start with job descriptions and evaluations and,
job description.
but it's hard with evaluations, because evaluations needs
You go back and
policies.
forth. Yeah, I mean, you do go back and forth.
Right. So it's like,
Well, they're a little bit related too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because a job description is hopefully what we base evaluations on.
Right.
We talk to each other.
So,
so I feel like job descriptions is the best place. I think that's...
I agree.
okay. And then that was kind of, well, I was trying to flush that out about like the structure of the library and what it needs and how to staff it, you know, and get that just feedback from Adele and Nina about where we're lacking, but the job description, I guess, so we would re-evaluate the one that we have and see if anything has changed
okay, so we
in our
can,
needs.
perfect, so reevaluate, because we have the job descriptions for them, correct? Yeah.
Yes, we do. And then I think there was one also for director. I'm pretty sure that was floated around well, it was for the last summer. So I have this board governance. I guess I don't have it printed for the director, or it's not in my file.
We've got it though.
Yeah, we do. So we could,
So that's
each of us look at it separately and
Yeah.
reevaluate.
Is there is a separate job description for Adele's position?
Yes.
From this position?
Yes, and
And we have those, we're given those, we've got those. I just
Yeah,
wanted to make sure that I was remembering that correctly.
yes, we do have, and I don't know how old they are though. I don't know that they're dated. I don't recall.
I think that Nina's was from
Well, she was hired recently.
2022.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I think the position even wasn't much older than when Nina was hired. So it was a grant position, and then, but I think that, yeah, so that would be fairly recent. But when I talked to her, I think we would need to also put some thought into kind of matching it to our vision and our mission statement and see if that description still works, or if we need to tweak certain aspects of it.
Do we need job descriptions for volunteers as well?
I think so, honestly. I mean, I think not exactly a description, but maybe a category, like, I'd like to organize that so that people can find their niche where they want to help. I have this talent or this experience, and then we can match it a lot easier, because right now we're at this kind of thing where people are like, I want to help, what do I need, what can I do? And then Adele and Nina are like, well, they don't have the ability to do that because there's no structure in place for them. So yeah, I think that it doesn't have to be exactly a job description, but these are the areas where we need volunteers. This is what we would need a volunteer to do. And how many hours, I mean, if we could possibly have a sense of how many hours the library would need on a weekly basis to keep something thriving, like the seed library, you know, that's kind of, it needs help right now, and there's no point person for it, but that's kind of that's kind of what fed my thinking about
So
this.
Sue has copies of all three positions.
Oh, great.
And so I could, we probably have, I probably in all my paperwork at home as well, but do you
Yeah.
want me to make copies of this and then we can leave all with the same thing?
That would be perfect.
Does that make sense to you, or do you guys feel comfortable that you have them? Because it's all three
I
jobs.
have it, but I would.
Wouldn't it be nice to have it all
Yes, it
together?
would be, it would be.
Okay.
Thank you, Sue.
Sure.
I'm gonna do that, but not now, but I'll do that. We'll all leave at the same.
After the meeting.
And then we can decide to adopt these job descriptions at our next meeting.
Or mark them up.
And also, or discuss, and then possibly adopt. But could we not tack on that evaluation sheet that I handed out to everybody before?
Sure, there were two, I think.
Because it doesn't mean, even if we adopt it, it doesn't mean that we can't amend it at a future time if something's not as relevant.
So there are two here.
Can I
One
see
is
them?
from, yep.
Mark 'em up.
I think you, and one was from the policy part on the library.
This is from
website.
Bennington.
Yep, that
This is
was,
from,
yeah,
this is the one that I had handed out, so this one.
Oh,
So why do we have one from Bennington?
just as a model.
Yeah.
Because it was, it might have been before that, or just, it's on the Vermont Library, Department of Libraries website as example policies.
yeah, I was talking to this librarian at the,
North Bennington?
yeah, at the meeting, at the class we
Oh.
went to. I didn't see that, but I bet it's good.
So do you want both of these as a comparative?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
we can
So
take
that
it.
is-
And that's that is the purebred and the Pawlet mutt, right there, those two.
Oh, where's Fred?
I know, but that's, yeah.
The purebred and the pound.
Yep,
All right, that's exciting.
yay. I think that is
think that's-
very positive. So then I'll try to find volunteer descriptions. Should I can ask.
There's a form, we have a form that volunteers can look at and sign as to what our expectations are of them. We have
Okay.
one of those.
Okay,
I know where it is.
Do you want to grab
Can
it?
we get that as well?
yes.
Yes, in our packet.
We're gonna have a little packet. Okay, that's great. And I suppose that is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Then the next would be to tackle like the hiring process and the things, how, just so it's in place and everybody's understands that.
Do we want to talk about,
The policies? Or,
getting together, advertising? Like, when do we start talking about that? Because I think we should do that, like.
I think we have to have this,
We have to do this first, but
Yeah.
you don't want to.
right.
I remember last meeting Julie said something about having a timeline that I really appreciated.
Oh, sure.
And that was referenced
to
too.
that, because
Right.
Thanks,
we bring things up and then they kind of,
Yes, yeah.
and then the next meeting, we're like, oh, we still need to do
It's
that.
very-
So I just think,
Yes, okay, so a timeline. And actually, I'd wanted to talk about this, but I guess it's for the organizational meeting, so if that, that can get taken up, the work plan. So every month, you have something that you work on as a board. We do that with the school board, but we would be like planning for the book sale or fundraisers or just the things that kind of seasonally come up. And revisiting our policies and looking at
So
our
can you
governance.
explain that
and stuff.
further then? So the work plan is something that, it's just a
just a
something that you
calendar.
address every single
It's a
meeting?
calendar, right, and so
Okay.
you would have revisit bylaws once a year, look at them, just, you don't have to rewrite them, just say, do these still meet our needs, are we missing something, or is this not working? And then, right, and then some, I forget what else, but policies would look at, maybe do 1 or 2
And
policies a
fundraisers.
year or something, just to make sure that you're doing that, and that would be with the director.
and hopefully include reminders of when we need to start working on.
Right, have it
Yeah.
backdated, yes,
Would
yeah.
this be like a digital calendar that we could create so that it is like a living
could be.
like a living calendar that we can all access, or
could be.
like how do you do it at this? How do you do it? At the school
It's on it's printed.
Okay.
It's just, we have it at every meeting. It's part of our agenda packet, so we can see it, and we look at it at every meeting, and then we just see,
Could you bring a copy of it maybe that we could look at it?
sure.
So it's kind of a living document, but it's analog rather than being digital.
Right, and then I believe at our, I'm not sure if it's it's probably our organizational meeting, so in March, we see if it meets the needs, the way it's structured, and then change it. It might be at our retreat, our board retreat, but one of those, I'm pretty sure it's the March meeting, but, okay, so from this,
When I was on the board the last time, we all had binders. You guys, did you have binders when you first came on the board?
I was never given a
No, you
binder.
didn't.
I
But
was
did you?
given a binder, but we never used them.
You didn't.
So do you have it
It had
at home?
all the information. It would have had things in it like, your calendar would be there, and the norms would be there, and different policies would be there. And you did,
That didn't happen.
okay.
no, okay.
Okay.
I don't know, okay.
We should do that, though.
That would be really, I think that would be
It
amazing.
was
Revisit.
Have like a-
wonderful, and
Did you have, like, agenda packets where all of the papers would come with the agenda as the library board? Okay, okay.
yeah,
I wonder when that practice stopped.
I know when it stopped.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but I didn't know, but I thought maybe you still had them, but no, okay.
that sounds
They must be in
good.
the office, or do people not turn them back in when they?
I
when they're
turned
open?
mine in, I don't know.
Yeah,
When I turned
Okay.
in my key, I turned
so
it
it's
in.
something we could do.
The only thing that I saw was a binder. I checked out a binder that had the HR, or the library, the Board of Trustees class that Kevin.
Yeah, this was something we brought to every meeting.
Yep, so that,
Yeah,
no,
no.
that didn't.
I never,
okay.
I just had what Joni was talking about.
Okay, I've heard it referenced before.
Okay.
And I think that other boards have that.
Instead of the,
I would like
Okay.
that.
So then,
We teach
as
you
far
how
as
to
that timeline, Grace, we're looking at,
So would that be, oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
we're looking at the job descriptions next meeting, March, revisiting and approving,
Yeah, and evaluations.
and evaluations, okay.
And I think that we could try to, I think that the binder idea is something really, really,
Yeah,
I mean, especially for our organizational meeting, like that would be a great time to
that
start.
would be perfect.
I was wondering, since
It's not mine, okay.
you had more experience with what that looked like, would that be something that you would be willing to like help kind of guide?
help to what?
Guide.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, because I think that
Yes.
sounds really helpful.
I'm teasing, sure. Yeah, and we can we can put things in it that are important to us.
Yes,
Excellent.
yes, right.
I got an email from Joanne Van Meter just before the thing, and all it said, part of what it says is, she says, "I'm sure the state of Vermont and the American Library Association have good recommendations as to hiring practices."
Okay.
And so I'm just saying that, not that I really know what it means, but we could look it up.
Yes.
The class that I took last year was with a woman named Kate Hall.
Okay?
And Kate, and Hall's just spelled like it sounds.
Yeah.
And so if that's something, I'll go home tonight and get that out to you guys, but if you want to do some of your own digging in the Vermont Library.
Yeah.
It did have, it was best practices on hiring, best practices on staff relations.
Okay, good.
So that would be for April, we would be doing that, hiring process, hiring policy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the March meeting is seeming like it's going to be a hefty one.
Yes.
Is there any lifting that we can do now to make it easier, or is there anything that we can do, like, is there any way that we want to break it up so that when we come to that meeting, it's not...
If we're prepared with these,
Yes.
so that we all are on the same page and well-versed in what we feel about how we want to adopt them or change them or add to them or take away from them, and then
Yeah.
I'll work on the binder
the
part.
binders, we could probably have prepared by then. there's a cost to that, I guess.
I was just gonna say,
If
do
there
we-
aren't binders, but man, I have so many empty binders at home. All those kids.
So I'll stop by.
That's fine.
So we just.
I have mine, I have a lot, but they don't match.
Well, they don't need to match, do they?
I mean, I don't know.
We could decoupage them.
Oh,
It seems like they should, I don't know, maybe it's silly.
I'll run over. That's fine.
They're not.
We're gonna find them.
No.
But we want to,
We're going off
we
on a
don't want to
tangent.
hit the budget.
No, so that would be great if we have those things done ahead of time. I think that'll save us a lot,
Okay,
right?
so then,
But
we'll all have all of that tonight when we
We're
go.
gonna have all that tonight.
So then that part is taken care of.
And then Sue could probably send out an email saying just the contents or the outline of the binder,
And I'll send out links to the,
right?
Yeah, sure.
the hiring, the evaluation.
Okay.
The 2 evaluations, I was gonna make copies of those.
Yeah, but I can send out links if people want to work on them, look at them on their computers or something, if they
So then
want.
should I still copy them?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but both, like, just as a backup. Okay. Where else are we with this? Okay, I think that we have all of that then decided.
Can I go start on this, or do I need to be here?
I think it should be here.
All right.
Okay. Oh, well, yes.
So well in time, that's like,
I know, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we can move on. We didn't need action on that. It's all discussion. Yes?
On item number 10, building better boards, Lauren's written report for the rest of you was very succinct and clear. Could that be included as an addendum to the minutes?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are a couple of errors in
might
it,
wanna-
but there were a couple of errors, Martha, but I could try to, but I can edit it and send it to you. Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And we can put a reference to him in that as well, so that people,
Yeah.
if they want
got the
to
information.
look that up, could get that information, because,
Is that picture I took?
Do you have the picture?
yeah, and I kind of, yeah, I spoke with him, he was, I could do a part 2 for the next one, when I had that conversation with
Great.
him, about, just very positive about community engagement and visioning and stuff. Hi, yes, Annie?
I have a question just about the building better boards. You said that anytime you see him speaking, like it's something we should seek out. It sounds like this is the kind of thing he does. Would it be possible to like bring him here? Is it
Money,
attractive?
yes.
I
We don't know how much,
The library pays for it, and then it's free to the
So it's
public,
free.
yeah,
Yes,
but
yeah.
he would be,
A lot of money.
yeah.
It would be worth, I mean, looking into at some point.
But we could probably speak to him about maybe some less expensive or maybe free,
That's what I was
you know,
gonna say. I know
resources.
there are resources for library boards that are similar, maybe not as perfectly wonderful, but still like it might be, if this was so successful, it might be worth pursuing.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll put that on, I think, with the, I think from his website you can access that, yep.
you both mentioned that there were about 6 books that he wrote.
Yeah.
Would there be anything that would be helpful for us to?
For sure.
To do as like a reading group, any book
Yep.
that you would recommend? That he
Well,
spoke
maybe
about?
he could recommend for us. Would you? we could
I think
ask
it's the
him.
first 2 books that he had listed on when his like welcome thing. I can look back at that, but I think they're very much about the building better board. It might even be called that. I was thinking it would be great for us to have it, yeah, here and I mean, there was so much interest in it, the nonprofits coming together, that it might be something to continue. I know Manchester Library is committed to it. They're really looking to build that up, and they got a lot, there were people from a lot, far at this seminar.
I'm seeing that there's one book that's called Train Your Board and Everyone Else to Raise Money. Is that him?
Yeah, probably, yes. Then again, those are traditional nonprofits, so they're focused on that kind of stuff a lot more, but it was helpful, the things that they did talk about with that.
Which are all panicking right now.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
not,
definitely.
it was, so that was nice for everybody to be together.
I'm just trying to make sure it's the right Andy Robinson.
Yeah.
Plainfield, Vermont?
Plainfield, yeah.
So what every board member needs to know, do, and avoid, is that him?
Probably, yes. I mean, he's very clear, I mean, to the point, and very, it was great. Okay. All right, so on to the director report, which we don't exactly have, library report to the select board. I did meet with Nina and Adele last week, and it was really successful, and I seem to like that chain of communication, and I distributed to everybody my memo from Nina. I haven't written up Adele's yet. It was a shorter talk, and Nina's was so substantial that I just had to take a break, but I felt like that was a good way, and they were happy to have it defined, and it was really like just conversational, and they have, I feel bad because they haven't had that, and we as a board did not provide them with the structure that they needed. So I think that this is on the right track, and I think it'll be a good thing going forward.
Will it be something that happens weekly, or?
Yeah, okay. That's my commitment. I was just modeling it off of the contract with the director once a week. Like I think I don't know if it says an hour, but it's a once a week meeting. And I just, since I can be around, it's not. I can come to the library twice a week in each of them because they don't work on the same day. But
Thank you.
yeah, and it's very helpful, and it's really and it's just
report. Thank you.
Thanks.
And she signed off on it too, right? Like
Yes, yeah. So Nina, I sent my report to her, and she we went kind of back and forth. She just wanted to add a couple things, which I did add at her request, but I just wanted her to feel like she was represented correctly, and it wasn't just my take on it. So I did my best to just report all of that. We talked about a lot, and it was very educational for both of us, I would think. But we do talk about having a library report to the select board, and I was wondering if anybody had anything that they wanted to report out to the select board at the next meeting. And if anything for me to ask Adele and Nina, or talk any points of, because I don't want to do anything without.
I know that I think one thing that would be helpful is to have some kind of board training for emergency situations if we were to ever man the library.
Yes.
But I was taught, and I haven't done it in a while, I think Adele taught me how to do it, how to check in and check out books a while ago, but is there any way that perhaps Nina or Adele could just write a cheat sheet to have next to the computer for in case, like, because I'm a mile from the library, it's like really easy for me to just hop down the hill, and if you had a reference right by the computer, it'd be so simple. But then also I think it'd be great for a lot of reasons to have a training session with them.
Half an hour, yeah.
With everybody.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, does that sound like a reasonable thing, guys?
It does.
Okay.
Sure.
I don't necessarily want to muddy the water. There was some discussion previously that there's a strange boundary with volunteers being, or board members being volunteers, because
This would just be to pitch in.
that's just a pinch as,
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
okay.
I think we're in a sort of almost like an emergency situation.
Right, yeah.
We're not, I with the
Not
intention
volunteer on a
of,
regular basis.
yeah,
Thank you.
just so that we want to keep the doors open.
Yes.
That's the main focus, and we want it to be accessible and available to everybody, because it's a big community center, and it's important. So, I think we can revisit that, I think, once we have a director, and maybe build up a volunteer base that allows us to not, because we're supposed to be removed and above, thinking about the big picture stuff and not that day-to-day. Yeah.
I think it's great though that.
And also, like, clear, no, that was a tie. That was.
I heard her first. Go.
I was just saying, thank you for keeping it open last week when,
That's to you,
Oh, yeah.
thank
not
you.
me. I didn't do it.
I did a little. It was fun. It was fun. It was neat. And I got trained by Linda, and she had forgotten to check out a book, and then she came back and checked a book out, and I passed that test. I don't know if she forgot for real or if she was testing me, but I passed.
Do we have a list of the current volunteers? Because I know that,
That's what I asked about. Yeah, we
because
do
also
not.
I'm not comfortable with people who aren't noted and trained as a volunteer to have authority in the library to open and close it. So I think it'd be, I don't know where that list is.
Okay.
Or how do we get that list?
Okay.
Maybe from Adele?
That would be, yes. I asked about that. There's no official list, and then I was thinking about doing that, the tasks, and trying to organize it that way so that we could put that both together.
And maybe a list of who has keys?
Yeah. Yes, I think that is on, yeah. Or the ability to open and close.
Would it be something that,
It would be,
so I was thinking,
no.
once do we need a job description or a description of the volunteers first? Or would it be something that we could put a call out to the community that we're looking for volunteers, and then have them have a training for everyone who's interested in being a volunteer, so that everybody can be, we can be there, so that we can be there to fill in for emergencies, and a new slate of volunteers can be there to be volunteers, so that we have everybody kind of trained at the same time.
I think that what I'm suggesting is just to get an inventory of what we have currently, and then I think that, you know, going forward with our March and April meetings and advertising for a new director, I think that is, we really need a director. I don't, you know, for us to manage all of that is a lot.
Yeah.
And the training of the volunteers really falls to the director.
Yeah.
So I think that those are all things that will happen in succession, and I can't wait, but you know what I mean? I think, but for now, I'd like to know who has keys, who are the volunteers
Volunteer.
in the library, because ultimately we're responsible, so I'd like to know right now.
That's
who's-
right.
Who's
We're
in and out.
responsible for the building.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't thinking of it on that level, but, yeah, okay. So then I will ask or help to create a current volunteer list, a key list. I know there is one, but I just maybe have it in a place that's accessible for all of us, or everybody, you know. And the training, a cheat sheet and possible training session.
Do you all have your own codes for the,
I have isn't it a universal code?
Yeah.
I mean, it was intended that everybody who had access had their own code.
I have a code that Adele gave me,
Okay.
and I'm assuming it's everyone's code, but
I'm
that's
wondering-
nice, then you know who's in and out.
I'm wondering if it would be helpful for us, at least as like the 5 of us, to have our own codes, so that, and Adele, I asked her if she could help, if she knew about that, and she said that was something that she could set us up with. It's just a phone call to the company, and then us setting up our own authentications and numbers. Would that be something that we would be interested in, so that it gives more?
It should be that
data?
way. It should be that way.
And then everybody would have one.
Have their own
right?
code.
Because I actually, yes,
So that you know who's in and out.
I've come in and it hasn't
If you
been alarmed.
if you needed to know.
Recently.
Yes, then you'd know who came in and didn't set it.
Right, yeah.
Well, that's great, so who, do you want one of us to
I
think
can
each person needs to do it, because we each need to set up our own number.
Countryside Alarm?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be like coming in, and then I think maybe Adele or as the point person would have to be here to, somebody who has,
I'm on the list with Countryside.
you are?
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
The alarm went off when I was here, and Harley was on the list, so I had them change it to my name.
Okay.
And I have an account with them as well, so like I know them, but I don't know if Adele needs to be here to do that.
But I can ask her the process for that, and that we would like then an access code for everybody who has
Excellent.
a key.
Great.
Okay, that's great. I don't know if I had anything to talk about or ask that came up with me. I feel like there was something, but I'll just keep this going as we discussed, and if things come up organically, I will just report out to everybody how that discussion went, and have them sign off on it, and I think, I mean, it will just be a weekly thing, and then the next meeting, so then
Thank you
Yeah,
for
so,
doing that.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I just mean, there won't be a lot going on, I don't think. It's just kind of, just keeping things going and kind of getting that structure in place. Okay, and do we have anything then for the select board, or is that, no? Okay. Okay, let's have a reflection on operating norms. And I want people to weigh in on this, so I'm just gonna read them and then see if you have any thoughts. To focus on agenda topics, be open-minded, respect each other, value different viewpoints, be responsive and responsible to our community with reference to the strategic plan, make decisions based on data and facts, listen to each other, be reflective, and run meetings that respect time, have concise agendas, and are transparent. Anybody have thoughts? I felt like this was one of the better meetings.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the circle thing or what. I feel that we are going in a good direction, so.
Yeah, I feel like we're developing methods to really get more stuff done and collaboratively. It feels really good.
That infrastructure, yeah. Have it in place so that you're relying on that rather than a personal thing, or, yeah, that's good. I felt like we did a good job, not to pat ourselves on the back, but it's nice to come through with that. So, yes. All right, now I believe is public comments? Yes. Okay, just two? Yeah. Hi, Ruth. Guess.
I just wanted to commend the entire board on working hard and together, and despite everything in the world right now. And I love that everyone's got time and energy and is working to volunteer to make something work out, and I hope to be more supportive in the future of all of you and make this library the success and community hub that I know we all desperately need it to be.
Thank you, Ruth. All right. Annie, did you have your hand up or no?
I would like to say something. There's some people I haven't met directly, but I just want to introduce myself that I'm Annie Nash, and I am running to join the library board. And I will say this meeting got me really excited about the possibility of working with any and all of you. And I just think that it's really wonderful to see the progress you've made, and the communication was really positive, and there's really exciting things happening. There's also an attention to detail that's, I think, really important, so I just really appreciate that. And I want to say that if I were to join the board, I would intend to go about, especially the option of the situation of seeking out a new library director, I would join the board in as a neutral way as possible, and with the intention of learning everyone's experiences with the last couple of library boards, and seeking out as much information as I can in order to make an effective decision, and also just seeking out people that would go towards the mission of the library as effective as possible. So,
thanks. Thank you. Sorry.
Annie Nash. Annie Nash.
Annie Ash.
Nash.
N-A-S-H.
Annie Nash.
Barbara, did you have your hand up?
My question.
Oh, okay. And then I will say that both my seat, I'm Corey Rail, and Sue Laporte, our seats are up for re-election. So there are three of us for the two seats. Anybody else? Okay. Oh, sorry, I couldn't see it.
This meeting had a totally different tone than the last meeting did, and I think that was a welcome surprise to me. After the meeting last week, I circulated a petition asking for the resignation of the public library board members, including Corey Rail, Lauren Herbert, and Sue Laporte. If anyone would like to see a copy of that, I'm happy to share it with you. We have received 39 signatures asking for your resignations. And I will be happy to share this with anyone that would like to read it.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. And can you say who you are and where you're from?
Yes, Heather Thomas, I'm from Wells.
Sorry, Jessica? Yeah?
Wanted to say anything else about that before I get to my public comment, that's fine.
Okay, I think she said, I couldn't hear what you said, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of your statement.
Which part of it?
The
You
last,
asked me for my name and my town most recently.
before that, I didn't, were you,
What was the subject of my comment?
She was asking
no, were you done with your comment, or did you say something else?
She wanted, she would share
Oh,
to
okay.
anybody who wanted to read it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a petition that was circulated asking for the resignation of 3 board members.
Yes.
It was signed by 39 community members.
Okay, no, I thought I missed something, but I heard that part of it. Thank you.
I'd be happy to share the petition with anyone who would like to see it.
Thank you, Heather. Linda, did you have something?
Well, she lives in Wales.
Okay.
She's not a taxpayer for Pawlet.
Okay,
That to me. Sorry, that. No.
thank you, Linda.
The petition
sorry,
was signed by people in Pawlet.
So the 39 signatures are from
We're not
Pawlet
going back
residents?
and forth, we're not going back and forth,
Oh,
please.
okay, sorry.
It's just, thank you for your comment, Heather, and thank you for your comment, Linda, and Jessica.
Oh, I just wanted to, I'll stand up so everyone can hear me. I just wanted to say that I just wanted to say how important I think the library is. And I don't know if people say that often enough. And it's a place that people can come to that isn't home and isn't work. And it's someplace where the community can gather. And I just think, this is me talking, not select board, Jessica, but I think it's really important that we have this place in our community, and I applaud everybody who's working hard to keep it open and to make it be someplace that people can be and to like draw people together. I want to say that.
Thank you. Any other public, Barbara?
I would like to echo what Jessica said, and I would like to commend all of you to have such a nice, calm board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Right, so I have, the next is, well, I guess I would announce that our next meeting is March 11th at 5:30 PM. It was on the calendar, the Pawlet calendar incorrectly because the Pawlet Select Board has a meeting on that date, and at the organizational meeting, it was decided that the library board meets on the first Tuesday of the month unless that conflicts with the library, or the Select Board. So I emailed Sean about the change, and I just wanted to publicize that our next meeting is March 11th. So now we have an executive session.
Can you have a 5-minute break before? Or 3-minute break?
Oh, okay. I guess we could.
I just got hydrated.
Sure, I think we could have the motion to enter executive session so everybody can leave, and then we
Yes.
can do the break? Okay, so,
I'll motion to move into executive session to discuss
labor relations
labor
agreements.
relations and personal matters.
Okay. Do we have a
Second.
second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Aye, okay. Any opposed? Okay, we are entering executive session 6:54.